put together a solid game plan 2 weeks in a row. This is a big. But overall, I can't complain too much. We just need to be the performed at an exceptional level against very good teams.
This was our third win in a row. Very happy. I'm just concerned about
Well,
Yeah,
let's be
we gotta
a little
figure out.
weeks.
We gotta
I think
figure
we're
out
a little
how to smooth that
jitty
out
tonight.
into the- It's a good vibe. That's a good vibe.
It's a good song. I like that beat.
Yeah, it is a good song. Sean did a good job with that one. All right, as always, it's me with my friends. We're gonna discuss, well, what we always discuss, which is the lovely Orange Boys, known as the Denver Broncos. So, let's talk about basic. Give me a couple of thoughts on the Raiders and the Browns game. Either one.
From the Wayback Machine.
Yeah,
This
we
was-
didn't.
this
We,
was- this
we
was
didn't
out
do
of
an
the-
episode for Thanksgiving, so please talk about the Raiders game.
Boy, we had so much success since then. Let me think about it. Steve, what do you remember?
I remember we won. We won, right?
Won.
Yeah, that was good.
There's so many wins that it's hard to remember.
You
them all.
know, I
It
recall
was 2
Todd,
weeks ago.
you going into that game having some concerns, like it's gonna be a tough game, and it did turn out to be a tough game. But it still went the right direction. So all good.
Yeah, I guess the thing I can remember, because I can't remember much, is that it was another important step in Bo Nix's maturity. Very nice to win in Las Vegas, although that's sort of a home stadium for us as well. I'm trying to remember who the stars were in that game. Like, who were the offensive? Like, Cortland obviously must have done great because he's been doing great for the last 5 weeks. But it was
Didn't
not.
Vele have a good game that week?
Vele had a couple of good catches. Yeah. I think
Thanks
that
to you,
we
Steve.
know. I think we know that we have to get down to business. So when we win the game, we focus on the Browns. And I can talk about the Browns for a good 20 minutes right now.
Yeah, I mean,
I
discuss that one.
I don't know where to fit this into our agenda, but I have to bring it up. So the blue uniforms that we have, I'm not necessarily against them. But when I look at the screen and you got the blue uniforms, you get the white helmets, and there's only like a little bit of orange on there, I swear to God, I was watching the Chargers.
Yeah.
And then the Browns have kind of orange helmets. And so like when I first, like, I'm, having a beer, hanging out, look up the screen and I'm like, oh, the Broncos are on defense. The Chargers have the ball. And I'm like, wait, what? So we can do the blue. We can't do the white helmets with it. That's my law.
I have to say, I'm honestly I'm a fan of the outcome of that game, but I'm not a fan of those jerseys. I don't like them very much. I said it in the day. It just doesn't feel very Bronco to me, honestly. Maybe if they made that blue a little darker, my preference would be we play in orange as often as we can, but it feels like we have a distinct look, and those jerseys are a bit generic. My point of view.
I like them. I'm not gonna lie, I liked them. I thought they were fine, but
so that was going to be our
everybody
update.
has their
this week,
preferences in this thing. Like, I like the blue jerseys. I've always liked the blue jerseys from the 90s. They just remind me of that Super Bowl run. So maybe not with the blue pants, but I don't know that there's any other color combination. But that helmet is fire. I love that white helmet.
Helmet's great.
Yeah. So
do that with
I
the
wish
orange
the blue were
jersey. I'm down. It's not the blue. Just can't do the blue with the white. No.
My thing is that we beat the Raiders twice. We finally beat them in Las Vegas after a long drought with that. That was a big thing for me. And then the Browns. My biggest memory from the Raiders game is that's when Riley Moss got injured. So which did affect us, and we'll talk about, I'm sure, in our next little section, that we have started to call the good, the bad, the ugly, but this time we're going to call the good, the bold, and the beautiful. So we'll start out with the good. And Todd, let's begin with your good.
So 2 pick sixes in one game, is that good?
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good. Like that. There's a lot of things.
And another interception that one block, and he would have been in the end zone again. So, yeah.
I think that, like, and I think it's happened 3 times in the last, I don't know, 45, 50 years. But I think, the other thing, like, it does feel like there's this whole vibe about that game that it feels like we dominated them. It was fairly close until the end, and it's nice to get 2 touchdowns from your defense. So I think the good thing that happened in that game was those 2 pick sixes by 2 different players who made great plays and finished them off.
I agree.
I was going to go with the pick 12.
Sorry, man. I was actually going to turn over to you first.
That's all right. I'm just going to go with, that game was fucking fun to watch. It was, I mean, we have watched so much bad football, but worse, it's been bad, boring football. Like, this game was like a train wreck of a game, let's be clear. But it was just like, it's like, where do you make a big pass? They make a big pass. I'm like, if I didn't care at all about the Browns or the Broncos, and I just happened to be watching the game, I'd be like, that was a good football game. And so I will take the good football game. It's not good.
What was my good? Oh, just overall. Well, my good was the boys stuck through it. Like, they kept grinding out that game, and no matter what happened, they came back and they scored again, and they found another way to get to their defense. The offense found a way to keep the yards coming, and Jaleel McLaughlin looked really good. He was able to find some yardage, and I heard Benjamin Albright explain it like, he's not very big, but he's really quick. So he was like staying behind the larger blockers until he found his cut, and then he was coming out, which allowed him to hide a bit of what he was doing. So that was my good in the game. All right, Steve, you get the bold.
That pass that Nix threw to Mims was bold. Now, I will say he made some bold passes that were not a good idea at times in that game, but holy shit, was that a good throw.
You mean this one? Hold on. Gotta get it up.
11.
There we go.
Down the middle, Mims. Denver. Marvin Mims walks it
in. That's so good. So good. Like, 3 defenders, you got the guy flying in there, tips the ball. He still catches the ball, and he's just gone. And like, when we've talked about getting Mims involved in the game more or whatever, and it's like been unclear, like, what exactly is going on, what's the deal, but like, this is what we have been hoping for since we drafted him, beyond obviously the fact that he's an excellent not just excellent, I believe the best punt returner in the league. So
wow, you're saying that?
Yeah.
All right,
well, I think, like, actually, if you, like, I'm just talking statistically, I think if you look at it, he actually is. So there you go. The numbers, man. I'm just all about the numbers.
Memories of
That's
Upshur.
numbers, boy. Todd?
So I think it's really, really bold when you are on a 3-8 team and down by 11, and you get to the end zone and you do shtick before you cross the goal line. And so what I would say is, I got to say that I felt that Jerry Jeudy was very bold.
He should have
Very,
gotten
very
flagged
bold.
for that. I'll be a homer. I'll admit it.
I don't care. I mean, I just got to say, like, I think we all rooted for Jerry Jeudy for a number of years, even though he has certainly some significant flaws in terms of being a teammate and a leader. But like the ridiculousness of him cheering on the crowd when he's on a terrible team and losing the game. I mean, congratulations for you.
So Jerry Jeudy.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. He's very bold, and he reminds me of Cutler, which, I'd love for him to have a good career. I'm just glad it's not as a Bronco. I am done with Jerry Jeudy. I thought he was talking way too much trash for somebody who was, let's remember, what was he, the 11th pick of the draft? He did not deliver for Denver. So, his thoughts should be, I need to figure out how to get my career on track. Not that I need to provide retribution to the Bronco fans who cheered for me when I'm on this terrible team. And you know what? That's going to be the best game he ever had because he plays only for himself.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I read somewhere that somebody said the reason Jerry Jeudy is a problem is because when he played at Alabama, he never lost. He never had to deal with being on a losing team and not getting the ball and not being the best wide receiver on the team. And so he came to us and he was having the drops, and then he started acting out in some cases. And he is extremely talented. If he wasn't talented, he wouldn't go for 235 yards. But that right there for me is going to lead into my bold, which is, why the hell were they not giving the new guys help on the other side of the field? Like that, Jameis just carved us up.
Yeah,
just carved us up. If it wasn't just Wallace, it was whatever safety was over there. And then finally in the second half, they figured it out and started giving the second corner some help because they just carved us like crazy up on that. And that's because we lost Riley Moss, which a lot of people don't necessarily know who White Lightning is, but that's, I guess, his new nickname. I like Salt and Pepper for him and Sutton together as a combo.
Surtain.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I said Sutton. That's right.
No,
Surtain.
It's a clever, so I want to make sure we get it right.
You're right. It is. I'm sorry that I was speaking incorrectly. But that just goes to show you, like, how good Moss has been in that position and how big of the loss of him for this week was. Now, I had no problem with them keeping him out. We had a bye. Let's keep him out 2 weeks. Let's not aggravate that injury so that he doesn't heal correctly for the rest of the year, because we've got two big teams coming. Two big teams in the next 5 weeks that we're going to need him. So that was my bold, was the lack of help, or why they didn't think they were going to need the help, because Jameis can, as much as he throws interceptions, he can also throw balls. So you got to plan for both.
I almost wonder on some level the defense was built that way. It's like, well, yeah, he's going to throw the ball over the yard. That's fine. We're going to pick him off, so it's okay. I will say, though, I feel a little bad for Wallace because on one of those plays, like, he got blown away, but the problem was the safety help bit on the run badly, and just like there was no help whatsoever. And
exactly.
So, like Wallace fucked up, but he was definitely not the only person that played it.
Well, I guess I would say that we didn't do a good job because we were too busy running pick sixes on the other side of the field.
They're tired. They had to keep running up down the field.
Yeah, but we didn't get those pick sixes until the entire defensive team was sitting there bitching at each other. They were pointing fingers and going, "You were going here and this and all that stuff." Finally, they get their act together, and suddenly, no, they were in the right place at the right time, like Nick Benny. So we'll go into the beautiful, because that was my beautiful, was the pick sixes. We haven't had a lot of those in the last couple of weeks, we needed the defense to come up with some plays, and they did. Nick Benito getting that one pick six was just beautiful. And then Steve, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Who are we talking about?
McMillan? Yeah, McMillan.
McMillan.
Yes.
Yeah. That one, when I saw that, I was like, that wide receiver is going to get his ass chewed by his offensive coach the next day, because he just stood there like all he had to do was touch him, just 5 feet, touch him, and no, but he did not. They were beautiful. That was my beautiful. Those 2 pick sixes that we also mentioned. So, Todd?
You want to go, Steve?
No, you go ahead, Todd.
All right.
I think
So actually,
mine is a better transition to our next topic. So you go.
That was McMillan's pick six, or not pick six, but McMillan's interception was my beautiful too, because the best thing about it is when you fall down, you get to get up and keep going. And it's like the idea that he made that interception and had the wherewithal to run after that, and it was a beautiful play. A lot of beautiful plays in that game. But I'm not going to talk about any of the beautiful plays, because what is beautiful is that it is the first week of December of 2024, and not the first week of December of 2023 if you are a Broncos fan. Because I don't know if you remember or not, but the first week of 2023, when we were a Broncos fan, we were actually we were in playoff contention, and we were in a 5-game winning streak, but it didn't feel right. And we knew this Russell Payton thing was coming to a head, even though I will say till the end of time, Russell Wilson had a very good season for the Denver Broncos last year, and he's a very good quarterback. But we didn't feel like things were going well, and then we lost to the Patriots. And I can guarantee, there's one thing I know about the rest of the season, is that we are not losing a game this weekend. And so how nice it is.
We have a bye.
We have a bye. And how nice it is. It's beautiful. The greatest thing about being an NFL fan of a team is to get to mid-December and still be in the conversation. That to me, of everything else, that's the whole thing. You still get to watch games that count until Christmas. And so you can look at my little subheadline, bye early exit. We're not early exiting from the playoffs discussion this year. We are going to be there until the very end, and that is beautiful. Steve?
I am somewhat doing the same topic here, but that's okay.
Well, I told you could go first.
I know. No, I think it all flows correctly, though. I think it is beautiful to be where we're at right now, and I think that that's where you were saying. I was also thinking about our schedule. Our schedule is beautiful, and here's why: we get a late bye week, and then we are playing playoff football until we get to the end of the road, wherever that is. Right? We've got the Colts playoff team, we've got the Chargers playoff team, we've got the Bengals playoff team, we've got the Chiefs playoff team. It's real football. We're not going to have, if we get to the playoffs and people are going to be like, well, but they had a weak schedule or whatever. No. We are, if we get there because we won it and we play good football. And here's the best part about this. It's house money right now. We came in this season if Bo Nix is a quarterback, we prove he's a quarterback of the future. We can figure out the rest later. We can build the roster, yada, yada. We're way past that now. We're now literally talking about playoffs, and we're not fantasizing. This is we win 2 games. I think pretty much we're in, right? So I'm feeling good.
I'll just say, I'm sorry to interrupt, Steve, but if we beat the Colts, we're in.
We're sold. We beat the Colts. We are in the playoffs. They're the only ones that are even close enough to us to be able to create kind of what happens at the end.
You look distressed, Steve.
So are we switching? News. Well, no. Are we switching to playoff conversation now?
We will. Yeah.
No, not yet.
Okay.
But
yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure what the exact I haven't gone through the playoff machine and run all the scenarios yet.
Well, they're the closest ones. They're 2 games behind us.
Yeah.
So, if we lose to them, it becomes a 1-game thing. So that's why if we beat the
I think it was
Colts in
like
2
it depends
weeks,
on what we do versus like then if Miami maybe went. I mean, like there's some other scenarios, but whatever. Like if we win 2, we're good. If we only win 1, we're still good. But I think we can. I still stand by the fact that I think we can win 4 games as we wind down the season.
Well, you actually said 2 games ago that we're going to win the next 4, and that's looking good.
Yeah,
that is looking
that's what I'm
good.
saying.
Okay, well, we are.
It's always great when you pull a prediction out of your ass and it turns out to be right.
I don't know. All my predictions are well reasoned and usually right.
A quick shout out to my friend Handy, who's watching us. He says hi to all of us. But I want you guys to give me your play or player of the week. If you did a play earlier, I want your player. So, Steve.
Well, I think you did a play earlier, technically speaking. So, player. You know what? I'm going to go a weird direction with this. Player of the week, Wallace. I think he had a hell of a tough game, and I want to give him just a little bit of I know, man. Like the way that the secondary works. The weakest link is always going to get picked on. Hopefully, he grows from that. Now, granted, he's been in the league for a while, so probably not. But hey, I can dream, can't I?
Give him a participation trophy and a cookie.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna pivot on this slightly. Player of the week, Riley Moss. There we go.
Okay.
Well,
Todd, you?
Tina, can I go next? I mean, because obviously, the player of the week is Bonito. Nick Bonito. And I will tell you something. Like this is this will be. We will always remember the joy of this season, because we were so underrated and like nobody gets it. Nick Bonito is probably one of the top 10 defensive players in the league right now, and 80% of the fans don't know who he is. But he's got 11.5 sacks. He is fast. He's not just a pass rusher. He makes tackles. He can cover. He is he's not Von Miller, but I'm trying to figure out who the equivalent is of like just an excellent player.
Who's the guy who played for us, backed up Von Miller, went to Tampa?
Right? Shaquille Barnett?
Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, Shaq Barrett.
Shaq Barrett.
So maybe he's Shaq Barrett.
Did you know that he unretired like a couple of weeks ago?
Well, let's sign him. Let's sign him and we'll go to the Super Bowl.
He hasn't played for like months.
I think Nick Bonito is about to be a Denver legend. I think he's probably going to be behind Surtain. He might be one of the best defensive players of the next decade. So that's my player.
You know the one other player besides Bonito who had multiple sacks in a row and also had an interception at this point of the season?
Give it to us.
You said his name, Todd.
Vaughn?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Ty Vaughn. They're the 2 Denver Broncos that has done that with multiple 10 games with sacks in a row and has an interception in the game. So our friend Sean said that Jameis Winston should be the player.
The best bad.
Well, he threw for 2 touchdowns for us, so I don't disagree.
Yeah, I started calling him Seamus. I call him Seamus. Okay.
He's fun to watch. I'll give him that.
My play of the week is, and this is kind of maybe a little bit of my own participation trophy, but that catch by Troy Franklin after he dropped the ball and then got the ball and he was like on the 1 yard line and everything. I was like, finally, these 2 are connecting up. We got one. let's move on from this one. So that's my player. My play of the week is probably what we showed, considering.
Throw an
Right.
idea
No,
out at
that-
you guys.
Yes, that absolutely was the play of the week. And
I mean, if we're being honest, the play of the week was that one.
I have a thought for you. Does Sean Payton, like, consciously, as he's making play calls, think about, like, trying to elevate players within, like basically saying, like, we're going to go to Franklin a couple times, even though I'm not sure he's going to get it, and maybe put the game at a little bit of risk because I want him to get the chances and get better at this game.
I mean, if you can start making the hard ones, the easy.
That's a very sweet reading of Sean Payton. I do not believe that he gives up plays to bolster the spirits of his players. I think that he gives them chances, and they either reward him or not. But I do not. Well, I mean, look at Mims for the last year and a half. Like, he did not find opportunities from Mims. Mims found opportunities for himself, and this week so did Franklin. So off we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see Sean Payton as a carrot guy. I see him as a big stick guy, like the dog that walks with a stick into the leg. Yeah, no. All right, we got to discuss it. So, playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yeah, road to the playoffs. 4 games. In my opinion, the next 2 games are the most important games when it comes to the playoffs. One is, like I already said, if we beat the Colts, we're now 3 games up on them. It's going to be hard for them and Miami to catch up with us in terms of being the 7th seed almost. The Chargers, we win the Chargers game, the division becomes interesting then. Because we would statistically be tied. Though they would win
the division.
Yes, we would be tied.
With
not with the Chiefs, with the Chargers.
So the division doesn't become interesting. The seeding becomes interesting.
Well, the division becomes interesting because then that does affect the seeding of the playoffs, is where I'm essentially going.
Point of order, it's the AFC West. It's always interesting.
Yes. But we would be tied by them, and yes, the Chargers would get the added point. They would be ahead of us still because they beat us before in the conference. But then the conference schedule also becomes interesting, and then it could come down to whether or not the Chiefs actually put a team on the field the last game. Those are just thoughts I've had over the last week. Like, Bengals, they're probably going to be a decent team, but is it? I mean,
no, they're not going to be a decent team. I don't know why people. I'm sorry to respond like this, Tina, but I watched pregame show.
Oh, when I mean a decent team, I mean Joe Burrow's going to sling the ball like he normally does.
I watched 2 or 3 pregame shows on Sunday, and they were always talking about worry about the Bengals. The Bengals were 4-7. They're 4-8. They are not a good team this year. You know, when
they're at the same level as Cleveland.
What's that?
Cleveland has a damn good defense. The Bengals' problem is they don't have a defense.
We are not going to lose to the 4, and because the Bengals are going to lose again this week. They are a terrible team this year. I don't know why, but they're not a playoff risk. They're not a threat to playoff teams.
And we almost lost to a team with their same record. So what I am saying is,
we did not almost. We never were close to almost losing that game. We never were close.
If we didn't get 2 pick sixes, we would have lost that game.
Well, yes.
Let's be honest about that one.
Hey, I watched the whole game. There wasn't a single moment in that game that I was worried that the Browns were going to beat us. They didn't. The Browns didn't control that game for a single minute.
Agreed.
I watched the whole game too. I did. And I did think we were going to come back in the second half. I'm saying we didn't get those 2 pick sixes. We lost that game. So what I'm saying is defense, that Cleveland is better than their record. However, Bengals offense is better than their defense. So I don't think we'll lose against Bengals, but I think they're a better team than what they look like on paper. And we have almost lost a couple of trap games this year because we didn't take those teams seriously. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we will lose the Bengals game. I'm saying if we need to rest people, that might be the game we do it. Because let's also be honest, having the bye this late in the season, I think we're dealing with some injuries and some guys that might be playing hurt. So I'm just saying, there's traps in the last 4 games. I hope we work through it because I want to be in the playoffs too, and I'm enjoying this kind of football. But let's be honest a little bit about some of the stuff that's going on.
So, what's another word for almost losing?
Trap game.
Winning.
Winning is the look. Here's my take on it. Is like you are correct. Like there were definitely times in a couple of the games that we won where we could have easily lost it. I will also note we beat the Chiefs. We should have beat the Chiefs, except for a freak play at the end. And so, like,
no. What's the definition of almost winning, Steve?
Losing.
Right. That's the point, right?
Right. So it goes both ways. I think the difference between good teams and bad teams is good teams have more almost lost, and bad teams have more almost won.
I mean, earlier this week on the roundtable, I was defending what we did. But now I'm the moderator, so I gotta throw counterpoint in there. So
that's fine.
And I agree with you. I do think this team has, like, they want to win. They have that drive and everything. I'm just hoping we don't have any, like Todd said earlier, I hope we don't have a fall like we did last year in 2023.
No. That's not what I said. I said it's beautiful because we're not going to fall. It's not happening.
Todd. I know that's what you said. What I'm saying is I hope we don't do that.
You don't need to
because
worry
our
about
team has to
it.
play
You don't need to worry about it anymore. I'll do my playoff take, and then Stearns keeps on disappearing.
Believe, Tina. Believe.
Yeah, you got a little too close. If
I get too close, I turn to the background. Yeah. That's weird.
So I will say I'm gonna make 2 predictions right now. Number 1, we are absolutely going to the playoffs. If we blow this, this would be an epic failure for a team for all sorts of both logical and existential reasons. Like we are not, I wouldn't say we're a team of destiny, but if everything that's happened over the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 7 years, if we blow a 2-game lead with 5 games left with the schedule we have, then we don't deserve to be in the playoffs. And there needs to be some serious soul searching going on. Like I just don't think it's going to happen. There's too much momentum moving forward. So here's when we're talking about the playoffs. I think the Chargers are going to beat the Chiefs this week. This is my prediction. I think the Chargers are going to be the Chiefs. I think Buffalo is going to be strong. I think the last game of the season is going to be very important, and the Chiefs are going to play all of their players because they're going to be playing for the number 1 seed. That's what I will predict, and what I will sort of predict is that we beat them. And then we might have to play them the following week in Kansas City. Maybe. Depends on if we beat the Chargers.
Well, we already beat them there once.
Yes.
Almost.
But so that's you talk about the road to the playoffs. That's my road to the playoffs. The Chiefs are the number 2 seed, and we beat the Chargers next week, and we're in the playoffs. I'm saying it on tape. The Denver Broncos are going to be in the playoffs this year. I believe it to my bones.
And if they don't beat the Chiefs, then we have to play the Bills.
Well, that's a different thing, you know. Like,
I'm throwing up a scenario there.
No, I'd rather play the Chiefs. I don't want to play.
Well, what happens if the Chargers don't beat the Chiefs and we have to play the Bills?
I want to play the Steelers. Can we play the Steelers?
No,
That would be
the scenarios we're in
think-
right now,
I
we play number 2.
I think we played
Okay,
the Chiefs. The
so we're going to have
Steelers,
to win a
and the
game.
Bills.
We're going to have to win on the road. We will play the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
All things being even. If nothing changes in our division where we don't go in front of the Chargers
Right.
or any of that, we're playing the number 2 seed, and that right now is the Bills.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I think what it comes down to is, going back to my house money thought. Like, at this
Right.
point, I feel pretty good we can get to the playoffs. And I am so excited for the idea that I'm going to be at Almost Home and we're going to be packed with Broncos fans. And it's going to be fun and right now, like, if I'm honest, like, I could see us not winning. I don't know who we're playing, but we're gonna have. It's gonna be tough. It's in the playoffs. It's gonna be cold weather. But if we can just get to the goddamn playoffs for the first time in a very long time,
when we get to the
this
goddamn
whole
playoffs.
season's worth it.
Yes. But
And if we go
I
back
agree,
and we draft,
but we
and
still need to get a lot better to beat the Chiefs regularly.
Yeah,
so
we need
the offseason
Agreed.
important.
Yeah.
But,
we're in a good position. We need depth. Yeah.
Mark your calendar. We're going to the playoffs.
I do think we're going to the playoffs. I just think if something goes wrong in the 3 games after in the Colts game or later, I just don't want to see the wheels come off is more kind of what I'm getting into. And I hope, for instance, what if something happens to Sutton? What if something happens to Pat Surtain or something like that? I'm just saying, like,
That's how
call me pessimistic because I have been in this position before for a long couple of years. So I'm trying not to get overconfident. That's just my point.
Here's the thing. In the health of the health and the depth of a team is the difference between, you not getting, to not getting the playoffs, to getting the playoffs, to actually getting to a Super Bowl. If you think about the year we went to the Super Bowl, not only did we have a good team, we had a deep team. We had key injuries. We had Peyton Manning get benched for a while because he was hurt. And Osweiler was able to carry things for a while. So it's like, and I think it's just like we're early right now, right? I think we are ahead of schedule for where this team's supposed to be. You get another season where we're going into the draft, we're going to free agency, and now we're going to free agents. They're saying it's a Sean Payton offense. We're doing great things. You're going to look good in this offense. Come here on a 1-year prove it deal. Let's go to a Super Bowl and selling people on that.
And Tina, if you'll give me a minute when you talk about like what happens if we lose somebody, there is something about this team. Like there's not a player on this team that is indispensable. Not even Bo Nix.
Riley Moss. I agree with Steve. Riley Moss is indispensable.
Well, we won the game this week with 2 pick sixes from our defensive backfield, so we did not miss him very much. That's my whole point. Like if we miss Riley Moss so bad, then how come the backfield scored 14 points?
They are resilient. They are like
there's nobody.
I agree with that.
There's nobody that we need, and that is the beauty of this year, which is we're just much better than we were supposed to be. The process worked. Peyton, no, and I called for Peyton. I said in week 2, it's not going to work. I was totally wrong there. He's fixed the culture. We're going to get better talent overall, but we should talk about the next 2 months. We're not going to win the Super Bowl, perhaps, but we're definitely in the conversation. We're definitely going to the playoffs. I think we'll win 1 game for sure, because we're not at risk. But as we're talking about Cincinnati. If Joe Burrow gets hurt, Cincinnati's not a good team. There's not a single player on our team that if they are taken off the roster, we're not still as competitive as we are. That's the nice thing about being a team with heart.
All right. Before we log off, I'm going to ask the question because somebody asked it in the comments on YouTube. Is the season a bust if we don't make the playoffs?
It would be disappointing at this point, but it's not a bust. I mean, like I said, The whole point of the season was proving that Bo Nix was the quarterback we could build around. We absolutely can. It's a good season for us. I'm good.
Yeah, I just personally think that's a hypothetical question.
But that's the question, Todd.
No. I'm just saying I don't answer hypotheticals. We're making the playoffs. I don't know who. Like,
I'll answer other
Steve.
hypotheticals. If you've
Come on,
got them.
Todd. I've done this in other shows. Answer the question. Is it a disappointment? Are you disappointed?
Yes. Well, I guess I actually, Tina, I did. Yes, it'd be a huge disappointment. I believe that the Denver Broncos are going to be playing their first playoff game since the February of 2016. They're going to the playoffs. I believe it to my bones. So yes, and so right. That's to the YouTube questioner. Yeah, it would be a huge disappointment to me because I'm already in the playoffs. We're going to the playoffs.
As he said, was the season a failure?
No.
Fire everybody.
No.
Fire everybody.
Well, I will say, you know what, and I appreciate the question. We started, I love the power. I read the power rankings every week. We started the power rankings at the beginning of the season. We were like 30, 31, or 32. And now we're 10, 11, or 12. So I think it's already been a success.
Weakest roster in the league. Like, yeah. And, it was like we were unproven. Well, now we're more
We had
proven.
the weakest roster. We had the quarterback that nobody should have picked. We had all these things that they were taking us down for the year before because our defense lost 70 to Miami and all this stuff. So they put us in the bottom. If we don't make the playoffs, in my opinion, the season is not a failure for a lot of the reasons you guys have mentioned. We are a better team. It is a young team. This is a young team because we could not get free agents. They had to come together. They had to play well and all of it. And even just getting a closer sniff at the playoffs. Like, we didn't even have the record we have now last year when we got into December for a possible playoff position. So to me, no, it's not a failure because we also, as Steve keeps pointing to his shirt, we got our quarterback. This is a quarterback that's going to be around for a while. And I think he's got some good rookies around him that we can make work. So to me, no, it's not a failure either. It's this season is even better than what I thought it could be. So no, to me, it's not a failure either. Now, that being said, I agree with Todd, and I agree with, and Steve would probably agree too. We're making the playoffs. We literally, to use my potty mouth name, we'd have to completely shit the bed to not make the playoffs. And I don't think that's going to happen. But I got to play the game, and I got to create talking points. So, all right. We do this every week. No predictions for this game because we have a bye. My prediction is I will be decorating my place for a Christmas party. So what's your prediction for the Colts game?
I predict that I won't be at Almost Home because I will be at the game and I will send photos.
Yeah.
Steve?
I predict another victory. I predicted victory many weeks ago. We're coming off a bye week. We've got good energy. But the game against the Browns, there was clearly flaws in our game. It'd give them something to work on. They're not going to just take their laurels and go into that game taking it easy. If the game was in Indy, though, we would lose because we always lose in Indy because I don't know why the Indy.
I don't know why either. It's terrible.
Which sucks because it's an easy road trip, but Jesus, it's bad.
Right. It's very fun to drive 3.5 hours to see the Broncos get their butts kicked.
What was it, 5 to Cincy that one year? But we won, so I mean,
we
it
won.
was.
Yeah.
But still,
it's fun going to Cincy. We win in Cincy.
It's a lot of fun.
But I think Steve's bringing up. Remember when Peyton Manning was our enemy in the mid-aughts, and we would have a really with Jake Plummer, we'd have a pretty good season, and then we'd wander into Indianapolis for the first game of the playoffs and lose.
Well, even after that, even when Peyton was on our team.
No, I know it happens all the time. That's what I remember.
In Indy, where I'm like having so much fun, and then it's like Wow, that sucked.
Yep, 100%. Okay, my prediction is that Riley Moss is going to be back on the other side, on the opposite side, and put the salt and pepper duo back together. So that's my prediction. Other than that, I'm not making any more predictions. Though I've been predicting Mims was going to get a kick return. I didn't care. He got the touchdown this week. So I'm happy. So all right. Well, that's it for tonight.
Well,
that is Mile High Minute. As always, it's not just a minute, but
many minutes in our Mile High Minute. That's all right.
Many minutes.
Time does go fast talking to you guys. All right. So we won't see each other this weekend. Todd's going to be at the game. See those in 2. Is it it's a Sunday game, right? Correct?
Yes, Sunday afternoon game. As the gods have ruled.
It's a Sunday afternoon game, and then we'll have to do the next one early because we'll play the following Thursday against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, then, we'll have to. We'll get that logistics together.
Well, I'm just saying. In 2.5 weeks, we'll clinch this playoff spot.
Right. So, yeah. All right. Well,
in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tonight, we're clinching a playoff spot.
Agreed. I think we have I think we can beat the Chargers. We lost to them when we were we weren't as good as they were, and they've been playing better teams and not always winning. So I think we have a team that can grind it out with these guys. So Chargers game to me is the big one. So, all right, guys.
Agreed.
As always, lovely, wonderful talking to you. See you guys in 2 weeks. And thanks everyone for watching.
Let's ride. Bronco.
Go Broncos.